Hello viewer, welcome to the presentation on business policies on production function. So what is a business policy? Business policies are the guidelines developed by an organization to govern its various actions. So it basically guides the middle and top management in the decision process both in the day-to-day as well as in the other activities also. Such policies are in place for all functional areas like production, marketing, finance, HR, pricing, procurement, logistics, and so on. This presentation will discuss the policies with respect to production function. I'll just give an example of a production function business policy. For example, in one of the fertilizer plants, they normally used to buy the rock phosphate from Jordan, and next time they wanted to try from the Chinese rock, which was cost effective. When they started using the Chinese rock in their factory, they found a lot of foam started coming. They are not able to operate the plant very successfully. Then they decided to use the R&D to address a particular issue. So this is a very typical case. We will see more in detail what exactly is the production related business policies. First is the size and decentralization of operating units. In a large manufacturing units, the economy basically dictates the single large capacity. For example, if you take the cement plant or steel plant, anyone will be interested to put the largest capacity possible so that your cost of production will be very competitive. You will be able to compete with the existing player who will be having a lesser fixed cost, and so the new unit also should be able to compete with them. The labor issues many times suggest to go for multiple units. For example, automobiles, if you take there, the labor force are all quite sometimes challenging. So it is risky to have a single location, better to have multiple location. In fact, once in India, Maruti Suzuki is one of the factories. There's a major IR problem. Even the general manager HR was even murdered. So luckily, because the plant company was having multiple locations, they were able to supply production from other factories and they were able to keep the market on. Had it been a single location, then they would have suffered very badly in the market front. The closeness to market again calls for multiple units. Suppose let us say you take a thermocol unit or soft drinks manufacturing units or the LPG bottling unit, depending upon the characteristics of the product. Or we may have to return the empty bottles or the LPG cylinders back into the plant. Obviously, you have to put multiple units to control the cost. The hazards in the manufacture also suggest to go for multiple units. Paint manufacture is normally quite hazardous in nature. Once there is a major fire in one of the unit in Andhra Pradesh of Asian Paints, and luckily they were having multiple units, so Asian Paints were able to cater to the markets from other manufacturing sites. Then the next interesting point is brownfield expansion versus a greenfield new plant. What is brownfield and what is greenfield? Suppose you are going to expand the facility in the same location with some modification, debottlenecking and all that, then it is called brownfield. If you are going for a totally new site, then it is actually called greenfield. If the technology is same, then obviously the expansion will be cost effective in a brownfield and people will always prefer a brownfield expansion. If you take the fertilizer manufacturer, the technology is almost matured and so normally they will prefer to go for a brownfield expansion as compared to the greenfield location. Whereas if the technology is continuously improving in nature, then it is better to go for greenfield location. You take refineries for example, there is a continuous improvements are taking place in the new secondary processing facilities to cater to the petrochemical manufacture and all that, to keep the economic sort or improve its profitability, then it is better to go for a greenfield plant. Then quantum of production. Suppose there is a seasonality of demand. The demand is going to be only for a short period of time. Then how will you handle that one? A very interesting case is the bakers during the Christmas or New Year occasion. See, normally what they will do, they tie up some of the home bakers and small bakers during such period so that they will be able to retain their customers even such short period of peaking demand. How to handle the ideal capacity during lean season is a very interesting point. Again, it has to be handled properly. A very interesting example is the marriage halls during the inauspicious periods, because normally people do not conduct the marriages. So how exactly to utilize the hall? Can you use it for conducting some meeting or some exhibitions or something we should think of? Then produce intermediate product during the peak season. Suppose you take any fruit processing plant, what normally they will do during that season, they will convert the complete fruit into a fruit pulp, store it and try to consume the fruit pulp over a period of time during that year. That's a very standard way in the fruit processing plant. The pricing policy to minimize the peak in demand is again a very important point. The airline's ticket pricing strategy, all of you will know very well. Suppose you book an airlines maybe about few months earlier, it will be very cheaper. Suppose you book today, then it will be costlier. Appropriate technology. Environmental issues may decide the technology choice. For example, if you take a distilleries, the spent wash utilization or disposal is a major issue. Actually, the technology only decides, because we got a basket of technologies starting from your composting, then your biodigester, and today it's all suggested to go for a incineration of spent wash as a very environmentally appropriate method. The need to use the local raw material instead of imported raw material. In Mongolia, for a long time they were importing the milk and producing this chocolate. Amul is the first company to go there and gave them the recipe to manufacture chocolates from the camel milk. Today, the camel milk-based chocolates have become a premium product all over the world. Market segments also guides the appropriate technology. Today in India, most of these MNCs are all present there, but many people are not able to offer a car which is very competitively priced for the entry level and mid-size segment. That is why there are only few car companies are able to capture the market, because the technology what is required is available only with a few people. Appropriate quality also decides appropriate technology. For example, if you take India, there is a large requirement only for a low cost detergents to wash all your day-to-day clothes, whereas in developed countries there is a more demand for a premium washing powder. That is why in India the sodium hydroxide detergents like Nirma and wheel washing powder are quite popular as compared to Surf or Ariel washing powder, which are all costlier and used for premium products, which are all basically soda ash based detergents. Then extent of mechanization or automation. So what are the guiding policies? Let us see. Non-availability of labor. If you take countries like Thailand, the technical labor availability is very poor. So normally they go for a highly automated plants. Even in India also today we are seeing the labor costs are all going up. So more and more Indian automobile companies are going for totally automated robotic plants. There is a need to meet the customer demands also decides to go for automation. For example, if you take the pharmaceutical formulation plants or ready to eat food manufacturers, all these people go for an automated plant because the customer wants. The need to reduce the fault level. Suppose you take the instrument that is used in the aircrafts. The instruments are the most critical items in an aircraft because they only provide the critical inputs to the pilot. So it is important to manufacture them in a very sterile and safe environment, and normally they go for a very highly automated mechanized plant to ensure a very high quality instruments which can perform flawlessly when the flights are all on. Then sometimes the technology to be utilized is also decided by or dictated by the process. If you take for example a refinery or a fertilizer or a steel or cement, the technology itself says you have to go for an automated plant. The world scale manufacture plants to reduce the cost that also automatically force you to go for a highly automated plant. If you take the world's largest refinery set up in Jamnagar by Reliance with a capacity of about 1.24 million barrels per day processing, it has got the highest Nelson complexity index of 14. So obviously such high level of complexities can be handled only by mechanization and full level of automation. Then finally we'll come into the business policies on R&D program. So first of all we have to look into mission statement. What the mission statement says. Is he giving thrust to R&D or not? Then accordingly the spend on R&D is decided. Companies spend from 3 to 5% on sales to 25 to 30% on sales. Yeah, normally in any organization they will be spending around 3 to 5% R&D, whereas in innovation oriented organizations like 3M or Google or Biocon, they all spend around 25 to 30% of sales turnover on R&D. Then the next question comes, should I focus on basic research or should I focus on applied research? Again, that's a very interesting point. Then the next issue is, should I go for development of new products or improvement of existing products? Because the improvement of existing products is going to give you a larger market with a little bit of efforts. So many companies may prefer to go for a improvement of existing products R&D focus. Then should I focus on product excellence or process optimization? I want to just give a very interesting example here. There is a company called Tamil Nadu Petro Products. They put up a lab plant using the UOP technology. The management decided to go for process optimization. So they engaged a process optimization specialist, and today they come out with a plan where the energy consumption is lowest, product quality is very high, and raw material consumption is very low. In fact, even the licensor is looking into this plant as a world's model plant. So it all depends upon how exactly you want to drive the R&D program, and accordingly you'll get the benefit. So hope you all really enjoyed this program and this particular presentation. And the presentation is quite useful, addressing the different dimensions of this business policies on production. So thank you for your patient listening. Thank you once again.